We are live. Hey guys, what's going on? Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. We've got the emptying of the ice machine over there happening. Not that it's a problem, but so we're trying to find where is the live broadcast on my YouTube channel, and I don't see it. Oh, I see what I got to do.
Library Solutions trending.
Okay, yeah, there it is. So it's right there on the. It's right there in the homepage. If you scroll down, it says live now, and it says taking full advantage of their second serve. You may have to refresh. Or
I got to reboot. Refresh.
Yeah, refresh, but just make sure it doesn't have the videos tab up. It just got the home part up.
It says home. What I have live is take full advantage of it, and then it's a picture of us.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Live now. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, and I think if there's that little 3-dot thing on the right side, that's not it. Maybe if you open up the page, it'll give you a share link. Here you go. There it is. So, guys, what is going on out there today? Brent Abel here at webtennis.com. With us today is the one and only Merlin, or otherwise known as Jeff Jackledge. Jeff, you may be listening to the YouTube part.
I had to get the link, and I'm switching over right now.
Okay. So, folks, we may find a way to really screw this entire thing up again. Get off the YouTube.
I've closed that link now, okay? So.
Yeah. All right, so you can share that link. Yeah, so guys, if you're on YouTube or Facebook and you want to share what's going on today, we would love for you to do that. What we're going to talk about today is the second serve, return to serve, second serve. And I would say that Jeff is known for a couple things out there on the senior tournament tour. And that, Jeff, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. That number one is just, Mr. Ultra Smooth, Mr. Cool, Mr. Ooey Gooey, it just making the game look so freaking easy. Everyone goes, what's the big deal about Jeff Jackledge? Well, try to make it look that easy. But I would think the other thing that he's known for is you don't want to miss your first serve against this guy, because whether it's singles or doubles, you're going to be in a world of hurt off of his second serve, return to serve. And very often what happens is because of that is Jeff and lots of other players who take advantage of an opponent's second serve, they're getting lots of double faults. I mean, I remember, Jeff, when I first worked with Mr. Stowe, that he sort of had the same thing. He said, look, you get a second serve. This may be the shortest ball you get in the point. So it's got to land right either on or inside the service line. So why not look at this as an approach shot opportunity? And I could not believe it, even against some great players where,
Right.
I just chunked this little approach shot in, it would sit there and they'd miss it. And then the next time I got a second serve, it'd be a double fault because they didn't want to miss another easy passing shot.
Right.
So
right.
Anyway, so what I want you to coach us up on today, Coach Jackledge, is two things. Number one, mindset for that whole thing about when you get a second serve, that it's just not going to be, hey, I'm just going to throw I'm just going to throw my return in play and kind of get the point started, whether it's singles, whether it's doubles. And then number two, at least what I've been promoting, is you're going to help us with figuring out how do we figure out what is our actual realistic, real world toolbox that we've had, rather than going, hey man, you get that second serve and you better just become Rafa. You better do that.
Right.
And I've got 129 videos to show you how to do it. So sorry, I'm gonna let that one
That's
go.
good though. Take the swipe, because no, not beating on anyone personally, and then there's a lot of great information out there. Not denying that, a lot of the stuff out there available right now is there's a lot of great information. We take issue with the fact that if you're not being guided though as to what you the individual should be paying attention to in your development of your game, you are just, it's the shotgun approach. You're shooting something at the wall and you're going to see what sticks. And so that's where, Brent and I kind of throw rocks at these guys and just kind of go, it's great. There's just a crap ton of information. But as we talked about a week ago, if you're not being guided through this process, and someone's not keeping you accountable to a specific body of work, thing that you're working on at the moment, and then we're going to do this work for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And it is that mind-numbing repetition that you have to work through and be disciplined to get that work done. And that's how you end up owning something. What's up, Sammy?
Yep.
And so that's how you end up owning a specific shot, and how you then that's how you turn a stroke, a pattern into an asset. Information itself is not an asset. It's just information. Information isn't wisdom until you've tried to apply it and failed. Then it becomes experience. And when you failed enough times and you start to turn it over and you get over that hump, now it becomes wisdom in the whole scheme of things, and you know how to apply it, when to apply it. It's not just, again, the shotgun approach. Hey, maybe I should try lobbing over the net player's head. I haven't done that yet this match, and here you got your first break point. Really? It's a shot you haven't practiced. It's the first time, and it's like, you got to this place because you were just staying the course and just knocking down a cross-court return. But now you have the brilliant idea that, hey, maybe I should lob over the net player's head. And that always turns out well when it's the first go-around in that situation, right?
Right, of course.
So today it's, we're talking about the second serve. So first we have to start out with, what are your assets kind of overall in your game? What are your actual assets? Not what you think your assets are, but what your actual assets are. And this is when you're going to need somebody to help you guide through this. And you're going to give somebody permission. You're going to give your coach permission to be abruptly honest with you about...
Boy, you hesitated for a moment on that.
I had to choose the right word there.
Right.
So that you're getting an honest assessment of what your actual assets are, right? And so, because that's the only way we can move forward and actually get the right work done. Not just work, but the right work done, right? So what's an asset? An asset is, I'm in great condition. Even without tennis, right? You're just in great condition. You got great cardio. You can run from now until midnight tomorrow night. Okay, that's an asset. That's something that we take the other things in your menu and build a strategy and a game plan and a brand around, right? What's another asset without even touching your tennis strokes? Hey, you know what? I'm one of the fastest horses in the barn. Great. Okay, we got another great asset that we can start to build a brand around to then take advantage of what you actually do with a tennis ball. So when I say what are your assets, it's not just your strokes. It is also what are the other factors that can help you build a brand that actually suits your personality, suits the way you like to play the game, and then we take it from there. So now let's move on from there and let's go now. What are your actual assets on the return to serve? Not what you think your assets are, not the shot that, God, I really love it when I get that ball. That sometimes may be a ball that you love getting, but are you inflicting pain with it? And how often do you make it? If you're at a 50-50, that's not an asset. You've got to be way above that on the scale there to make something, a real asset that you can count on, you're confident in. And then we start to, again, build a brand from that point.
Well, yeah, and I think that something I talked about earlier this morning on my live little 8-minute thing this morning. I was talking about drilling, but I was talking about you've got to stop drilling in hopes that you're going to perfect, let's say, a forehand cross court, as if that you're going to put the target 2 inches inside the baseline and 2 inches inside the sideline, and you think you're eventually going to drill this thing, you're going to groove a cross court forehand that will eventually end up, every time you get one in a match, it's going to be an outright winner. And I think, and you know, when you're talking about assets, I think a lot of players want to go, well, I want to own a point ending asset. And the return to serve is all you can do is, are you going to be consistent with this shot, this opportunity that you've been given,
right?
As opposed to thinking, well, I've got a second serve, he hasn't hit it yet, but I'm going to do this thing. And what if they don't give you the opportunity to do that thing? Now what are you going to do? Right? And even if they give you the opportunity, if you're thinking that your asset is, I'm ending the point, not going to happen. That's not an asset. That's just the wrong mindset right there.
That's wishful thinking. hit and hope.
Yeah.
I mean, so what actually do you do well off the return to serve? And well, I'm talking about you hit a high percentage of those returns in. And so what we're talking about here too is not just putting a ball back in play, right? So we've got two factors here, right? So off the first serve, let's assume that your opponent has a decent first serve, not a great first serve, but a decent first serve that really you should be planning on, can I just be at neutral after my return? Can I be at neutral after my return? Not have him be have the advantage immediately off his serve. And that's if the guy's got a good serve. That's your mindset. You know, can we be in that frame after I hit the return? And so what that might be is, can I block this back and send it right up the center of the court deep? Right? So coming out of the serve, we all know this, right? Coming out of the serve and then preparing for the next ball, there's a lot of lag time there. And so that's a place where we can make them feel rushed. And so rather than avoiding them on the return, going at them on the return is a great plan of attack, because I want them to hit the ball, but I want them to feel rushed when they do it. So the first serve, you know, you've got to change your mindset and not be in this thing like, you know, like you're going to puff your chest out and I'm the warrior and I'm going to, oh, he hit a big serve, watch my return, you know. Don't waste your return in that scenario. So I'm going to back up here a second. So second here, once we figure out your assets and things, and this is even before that part, the simple math of returning serve. If we want to break serve, we have to make how many returns? A minimum. Right? 4. We have to make a minimum of 4 returns to have an opportunity, assuming we win all those points, to even have an opportunity to break serve.
And that's assuming that they don't double fault.
Right. We're going to take that off the table. So focusing and paying attention to and spending time on your return to serve, it isn't just about, you know, inflicting pain and doing this, but understanding how consistent that shot has to be in order to get through the math part of it, right? So making if the guy's got a decent first serve, and just making that return becomes a big deal, because you've started the point at least. We're in. Now I got to hustle around and get my patterns going, and what else can I do? And that's a different video. That's a different story, right? So now let's move on to the second serve. So the second serve is an opportunity, and I can tell you for a fact, I know in my age bracket now, I play the 60s. The second serve is an unbelievable opportunity to inflict a little to a lot of pain. The second serve, most guys, there's still a few guys, a handful of guys that can pop a first serve, and their second serve is still something that has to be dealt with. But it's still a slower serve. So overall, the second serve is just a prime opportunity to inflict some pain and get the point going in your favor right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Well, look, I would say too, as you're looking for your notes over there, I'm going to say this. I think first of all, you have to do what Jeff just said. You have to shift your mindset from whatever it is to this is an opportunity. I've got the advantage. And just like I said at the very top of the video, this could be the shortest ball that you get in this point. And so why not take advantage of it? I'm not saying that you're going to, just because you shift your mindset into, hey, this is a big time opportunity for me and I'm going to inflict some pain, doesn't mean you're going to win every one of those points. But you've got to get in your mind that, hey man, if this guy misses the first serve, I'm going to at least show him that I'm thinking that I've got an opportunity here. I'm going to puff up a little bit and go, all right, what do you got?
Look eager. Look eager.
Let's get the feet moving. I mean, get those feet going. I mean, you see it in the tour where the guys miss the first serve and that returner is just bounce it up and down. Let's go. Okay, come on. Let's go. Come on.
So yeah, absolutely. And so that's my other note here. But first, before we get to that, I'll jump on that one right now. So there can't be any lag in your focus when it's time to return serve. Their focus and concentration in that moment on what the specific job is. The job is to make the return. The primary focus is not to win the point. Your job, when the other guy has the balls in his hand and he's tossing and he's serving, your job is to make your return. That's your job. After that, we work the point. Now, when it starts to become an asset and you actually put the ball where you're planning and things are kind of moving and you're reading the serve better, you're able to do those things, there's already a written plan in the back of your mind that's going on. I know, boom, if I get this thing on my forehand, I'm taking it cross court, heavy, blah, blah, blah. And I already know what kind of I'm looking for. But the primary focus is still, I have to make the return. So there can't be any lag. Every time you finish a point, it's time to step up to the line to return. Your mind, you've got to be so clear in your head, first, of nothing else. Did I leave the iron on? God, did I? And that stuff, listen, I'm guilty of it. It's hard to do. It is really hard to do.
I didn't know you ironed your own stuff, JJ.
I do. I actually fold my own laundry too. It's amazing. That'll be next week's video, how to fold a t-shirt. It's going to be great. So the idea is that the primary objective is to make the return. Now, once you can do that, off both sides, forehand, backhand, drive the ball up the center of the court. We're talking second serve now. Don't be thinking that immediately I'm going to lay out a menu of all these different returns and I'm going to start practicing all these different returns off of each side. You're wasting your time. Focus on one basic return that you can start to own, i.e., grind it heavily up the center of the court. Drive it heavy up the center of the court off of both sides. Now, the backhand side can be a little tricky. It can be a little daunting because the ball can get up. It's a little tougher to handle as the ball moves around in the strike zone. So one of the returns that you need to own is not necessarily a slice, but a deep chip backhand that can go up the center of the court. Doesn't have to be hit hard or that, but a second serve, generally speaking, the guy's not serving and volleying. So you've got an opportunity to drive that second serve deep into the court, deep up the center of the court with a chip, and it works quite well. So focus on the two basics first, and looking for those opportunities. What else have I got written down here?
Let me interrupt here, Jeff. I know that. Now, I've heard this a lot from other coaches who's going, hey, all right, the guy misses first serve, second serve. You have to decide what you're going to do. And I go, well, okay, so if I'm on the ad court and let's say I decide that I want to step around and unload on a big forehand, what if the guy serves down the tee and now I'm starting to step around and I got to reach out? Do I still go big? What if the guy kicks one out that I can't get around? It's got to be a backhand. Do I still keep going into the second row of the stands and try to hit a forehand? But I mean, to me, it's like, and you just kind of said, okay, if this guy throws in the second serve to this spot on the court, I know what I'm going to do. I know what my intentions are. And the intentions are, hey, if he puts it right here, I'm going to unload the forehand. I'm going up the line, and it's going to be a winner. I'm going to end the point. Oops is right. So I think that, I want to kind of debunk that myth that says that, okay, I'm going to do this one thing off this second serve. You can only do that one thing if your serving opponent cooperates and gives you the opportunity to do that one thing. So you have to be flexible. You're not exactly sure what's coming in there.
Right. So driving, let's just talk about the two basic drives up the center of the court. It could be, the ball gets up on the forehand and it's up around your eyeballs. The guy has a decent kick. Well, it could be just a knockdown flat, i.e. forehand chip. Again, hit with some authority up the center of the court. Just knock down up the center of the court at the guy. Same thing on the backhand side, right? Ball gets up on you. You're going to have to knock that thing down. First, start with those primaries. From that point, once you feel like you're starting to get an idea that, when the ball's down in here, I can actually drive it flat. When the ball gets up, I'm just going to knock it down and do this. When the ball, you start to understand your own strike zone. And that's what Brenny's just, wait a minute. That's what Brenny's talking about there.
I'm over there.
Is understanding your strike zone. And that takes time to really get and understand that there's just no way you can hit with a heavy Western forehand, and every forehand I get, I'm going to just, windshield wiper this thing to death, because the better players are going to figure out where to lead you astray.
Well, look, what we talked about in the beginning here is dealing with the reality, is understanding what can you actually do yourself. What can you uniquely bring to the party off that second serve, return to serve? And just because there's some other guy in the court next to you that's, skill level above you, and you see him or her doing it, and you go, well, that's what I'm going to do then. Well, you may not own that thing. And just because you've hit that one shot, excuse me, I'm spitting on the computer here.
Getting excited.
I'm getting excited. Just because you hit that one shot last month, that one time, and now you think, oh God, I can do that every time now. Well, it's just like Andrea said here. If you're not getting out and practicing this thing, and just like Jeff said, you go through the aha moment, you go through the epiphany moment. Oh wow, I guess I can do that. But until you then go through crawling through the muck to figure out, well, how do I make this thing part of me, as opposed to, I see it on TV, and I see it on this other guy next to me in the court over there, and I have hit it once in the last 60 days, even though I've missed 78 of them.
At least.
You got to get real with what you can actually do, so that you consistently, and Jeff keeps harping on this, you get the dang return to serve back and play. And so if that means you start with, and if you start with a slice forehand return, a slice backhand return, do that. Just do it all day long. Go out in the practice court, have someone serve you for 10 or 15 minutes of serves to a certain spot, so you can maybe work on something different. But
and have the guy who's serving in that basic, right? If you're let's say you're gonna spend 20 minutes, each guy serves 10 minutes, 5 minutes to each side, and that's a little bit, right? So let's just start with that. The guy who's serving shouldn't be trying to hit, the bombs. Second serve, slow it down. The idea is the server there is just the service machine in this scenario. Let's just see how many serves can I hit to. How many serves, if Brent and I are working together, I'm going to stand there and I'm going to serve 20 balls to Brent's backhand. And then I'm going to serve 20 balls to Brent's forehand on the deuce side. And then he's going to do that to me, and then we'll switch to the ad side and do that. So maybe it takes you 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes to get through it, right? But it's not the server's place. What the server's doing is now actually getting target practice, right?
It's cooperation.
But his job is not to actually try and ace the guy. It's can you hit your target? Can you hit your target? Can you hit 20 serves actually into the backhand? What a concept, right? How to get through that. So you've got to be able to narrow this thing down so much and get away from variety. Variety, again, I'll say it again. I said it all year last year. Variety is not a strategy. Variety is a menu, an actual menu that you have in your toolbox, and that we build patterns and we construct points with it specifically. We're picking out certain things because those shots do certain things and make my opponent have to react certain ways. So as you develop this, right, I know there are certain things I can do with my return to serve. In a play, in a match play, I don't show everything. I don't show everything I can do off the return. Let's say, so in Vegas, for instance, I won that tournament primarily, as you know, my forehand took a walkabout, but not my rally forehand, but my finish forehand kind of took a walkabout, wasn't available all week. But what got me through that tournament and what won that tournament for me was my return to serve. I constantly hammered these guys on the return to serve. And game after game after game, I was sitting in the driver's seat with them serving at love 30, each quarter, semis, and finals.
What was the mantra that you were sharing with me about?
Make the return, win the point.
Make the return, win the point. Yeah.
That was my mantra. And what that did was it got me focused in the moment. It got me paying attention to handle this. What's my job right now? Make the return. Win the point was just a connection. It wasn't that I'm hitting. I don't get confused with what I meant. I understand my own language in my head, right? And we all have that. So for me, I just tied the two things together. That making the return put me in the driver's seat. It was just a mindset, right? So, but that mantra put me present tense. My eyes get big. I'm looking. Okay, let's go here. Let's go here. Obviously, I'm trying to make the return on the first serve. All of a sudden, I got a second serve. Now I'm really like, let's go here. And so on those returns, off my forehand side, I'll just give you a little rundown here, real quickly, like between do side and ad side, right? And oh my God, I'm revealing my secrets of my, of like what I do, right? So off the forehand side, I can take a forehand if it's in the right place and drive it cross court and get it out the sideline between the service line and the baseline. I can drive a ball cross court flat. And I'm not looking for a big looper on that. Might roll a little bit, but in general, the ball is kind of flat. But I can do that fairly consistently. I'm confident with it. It inflicts a lot of pain. If not, sometimes it ends up being a winner. I'm not hitting it, though, with the mindset of winner. I'm just so focused on driving the ball to the target. And then I work it after that. So that is something I do. I don't save that one. I use that as much as I can, okay? A knockdown forehand up the line. And so if the ball gets up on me, I'll knock it down, little chip, knock it down into his backhand side. Kind of short. I want him coming out of the serve, trying to step back to recover, and then have to move forward. So these returns are very specific about what effect I want to have on my opponent. Off the backhand side, drive up the center. I can do that very consistently. Chip, full court chip. Watch Roger Federer. He uses this shot all the friggin' time. Full court chip up the center of the court. Ball lands within 2 feet of the baseline, and he's standing in the middle of the court now, and he's just saying, go ahead. Let's build the point from now, right? So that I can do that very well. I can knock down. The ball gets up on me. I can knock the ball down into, this is off the deuce side, down the line in front of me into my opponent's ad side. I can do that quite well. The other one I can do is a little block knockdown cross court off of that same return. So that's the one I tend to hold in my hip pocket. So I used that actually a couple times in the second set in the finals. I held on to it that long. I didn't use it the whole match. I got in, boom, 3-all. There's my chance for the break. Cross court. He gave me the second serve I wanted. I hit a soft, it wasn't a drop shot, just a cross court ball into the service box, cross court from the deuce side. And he didn't even go for it, I don't think, as I recall, because he was just looking for the other shot first. Because I just kept laying it
Well,
down.
so much of it is, there is some disguise involved in this too, where you establish a pattern and that guy, that server starts on the second serve, starts maybe looking for it. So you're what, first year 60s.
Yep.
And I've, over the last 5 years, last of the 60s, early of the 70s, don't hit the ball as big as you do, maybe never did. So for me, when I was 25 and you're 60, I'm sure you still hit the ball better. All right. Anyway, but for me, what I found, and as we age up, is that players move so much better side to side.
Yes.
And yet, as just not me, but everyone, as they age up, they don't have the same ball speed as they used to. And so what I found, Jeff, is that, and I keep it in the bag until just the right moment. The second serve drop shot, return to serve. If you don't have that in your toolbox, or if you're not working on that, then you're giving up a huge part of the court. You've got to force that second server to be thinking, God, I might take it up the line, I might go in the middle, I might go cross court, or I might drop you, man.
Right.
So you've got to be looking for all these things. And once you show a good drop shot, return to serve, and now what happens is they have to start looking for it. So what do? They serve and they stay inside the baseline where they're not comfortable. And now that deep one that you float back, lots of times it just eats them up.
Right.
So
they got to retreat. Right.
So I highly recommend you guys, I don't care what age group you're in, you ought to be working on a drop shot, return to serve. Now in doubles, probably not. But I do play against some guys. I played against some guys where they serve their second serve and they jump back, and they're looking to either unload in a groundie or start the lob fest.
Right.
Well, why not play a little dropper in front of the guy and come on in his approach shot and go, hey, bro, what do you think? How you doing?
Right.
So got to work on it. You got to practice the crap out of that shot.
Right. And Andreas there, another great comment. And so it is. It's the repetition. You again, the mind-numbing repetition of owning. Here you are. Of owning a specific shot. So again, I'm going to circle back here. Don't get out there and practice 5 different returns off the backhand side to start with. You got to own one. So what would happen in a match, right? So the next practice set you go out and play, chart it. How many return, not whether you win or lose the set. That's irrelevant. You got to get your ego and pride out of there, stick it in a mayonnaise jar and put it up on the shelf. It's irrelevant whether you win the practice set. What we're working on is how many returns did I make today? How many balls did I put in play off the return of serve? And every time you switch, keep track. Mark it down. Mark it in your phone, whatever. Or get one of those little wrist thingies, for tennis, whatever. They're silly, but you know what? In this instance, it can be an asset, so you can just mark it right there. Boom, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Oh, no, I only made 2 returns. But you know what? I had my racket on the other 2. They weren't hard serves, and I just hit them out. That is a cardinal sin. Okay? That has to be that number of just missed returns when you have your racket, you've squared it, and the opportunity is there, and you just hit the ball in the net or hit it out. That we've got to reduce that down to almost nothing. And let me tell you, it's very possible to do that in the senior game. Very possible to get the return to serve mistakes down to very few. Let's say inside 5 in a match. I know that sounds like extreme, but I'm telling you, it's possible to get it down that far. And I can attest, again, circling back to Vegas, last a few weeks ago, is that I missed very few returns, very few in each match.
So let's talk
I'm going to literally say I probably missed less than 4 to 5 returns in each match.
Wow, that's rough. That's rough. So I suppose there were probably a lot of double faults getting thrown.
Yeah,
in there
I got in the semis. I got quite a few actually, because he just got tired of being in that situation. So he was trying to move it out on me, and then he'd miss that, whatever it was. So anyway, you were going to say something, Ray.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk a little bit about technique. You and I don't talk too much about technique, but in this instance, mean, I've got a couple of kind of cues that I give myself, kind of technical cues I give myself for return to serve. But I'd love to hear, Jeff, if you've got anything that you either work on technique-wise when you're return and serve. I'm not saying maybe in a match you don't do this, but let's say in a practice session, technique-wise, is there anything that you do that might help or that you coach other players to be thinking about with return to serve?
I think, that like when, a lot of times the term you got to shorten up your swing gets thrown out there, and that can be misinterpreted, especially if your swing is a little suspect to begin with, right? So we're talking about, we're talking to a group of players here that, a lot of guys are trying to get over the hump and get through those first and second rounds in the top national senior tournaments. And some of the stroke issues can be that your stroke production is how do I put this, is separate from your body. Your swing maybe on your forehand side, let's just talk about the forehand here. Your swing is slightly independent of your body. And I can tell you this, that the hours I spent on my return to serve, and when I'm focusing on it now, it's really about understanding. Everybody knows I like to use the word framework as the unit turn. So when I work on my return, I am very conscious and very aware of that staying fixed. Not stiff, but fixed. I turn to prep, I turn back to hit. So everybody can kind of see this. I'm in the right now. I'm kind of doing this on the screen, but it's a unit turn, unit hit, and that's kind of in my mindset. That's how I corral myself into that. But it's not tight and fixed. It's just letting your arms go with your turn, and now I'm going to bring them back as I hit, which means get away from hyper focusing on, it has to be top spin off. I've got to hit this heavy top spin and that, because I can tell you what, I can tell you, I've the matches I've played in the seniors since 2012. Right away, I mean, it's one of the first things I look at when I'm warming up. I look at the guy's forehand and kind of go, okay, he's kind of whippy. He's got a lot going on there, so I know I can low and away, high up in the strike zone. I am going to make this guy, I'm just going to be a living hell for this guy because he's going to be trying to do things in parts of his strike zone that he has no business trying to do. And that's, again, that's why this is so important, to be able to move the ball into areas that aren't winners. We're just can I move the ball into a different part of the guy's strike zone and get to it. So,
We've got 3 minutes left.
All right.
And I got to scoot. I got to play. I have got to.
Got it. So let me throw this at you real quick. So for who's listening, so here's a constraint you can do to play a practice set. If I'm serving the first game, Brent and I are playing, I'm going to serve the whole game to the deuce side. We're going to play a set, right? So it's competitive. But I'm going to play that whole first game. I'm going to serve every ball from the deuce side to the deuce side, right? And I'm going to work on working that service box. Brent's going to work on returning from that. So he gets a chance to play a minimum of 4 serves back from that side of the court to work things out, right? And then we switch sides. He serves his first service game, the whole game to the deuce side. Now it's my turn to serve again. I serve the whole game to the ad side. By the end of the set, we've seen at least minimum of 4 serves into each side in a row. Repetition. You need to see the ball coming. We start to then be able to read and go, okay, I can start to knock this type of return down to this point. I see what's going on. You can't just go out there and do this random act of, I played 3 practice sets this week. Well, what'd you work on? Well, they're practice sets. That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I mean, you've got to get in there and actually create opportunity to hit those things that you want. Okay, so here's anyway. So
well, that's good. That's good. So look, we do, or at least I've got to scoot for sure. One thing I wanted to throw out there about technique. Here are the things that I work on my return to serve that I found really helped me. Is number one is when that toss is going up, I got to make sure that I'm not getting tight and clenchy on the grip, because the only time you might ever firm up the grip is just prior to contact. All the time before that, why would you be tight on the grip? You don't need to be, right? So I'm always making sure that as the toss goes up, I'm feeling my hands being soft. I'm visually locked on that toss and the ball going up, not on the player looking at the ball, but I've got my hands super soft so that when I recognize when the ball comes off the server's racket, it's to my right, it's to my left, or maybe it's right at me. But that because I've got soft hands, I can now do my quick little unit turn, which is from my shoulders. It's not racket back. I mean, you could put your racket back, but never get turned. So
you're never going to catch up.
Never going to catch up.
With your arm flapping in the wind.
That's right. So for me, it's that soft hands, because if your hands are too tight, you can try to turn the shoulders, but you might only get about halfway. And for me, maybe other guys don't, but for me, I need a full shoulder turn commitment. The second thing after that is going to be, in fact, yeah, that's right, I got it up there, is spacing. I've got to make sure that I'm on balance with my soft hands and my shoulder turn, so that if the ball is coming right at me, I can get my feet to get me out of the way so that I can play my return to serve. Now, here's something else strategically that you want to think about, more about core positioning, is that if you're serving from, if you're returning serve from the deuce side and they serve into your body and you've got a choice to either play a forehand or play a backhand, you want to choose the side that naturally pulls you back towards the middle of the court, right?
Right.
If you're on the ad side and as a right-handed player, a lot of goes, well, I want to run around and play that. I want to play that forehand. Well, you might run around and ding it, and now all of a sudden you go, oh, crap, he's got the ball, and I'm stuck over here in the alley. So if you're so for me, right-handed player, you serve to my body. My choice is I'm going to choose a backhand because it naturally gets me back in the middle of the court efficiently and more quickly. And now that serving opponent looks up and goes, dang, I don't have an open court to hit into. Right. So I got to scoot. I got to go, man.
You got to get going, baby.
Got to go. Got some
little grass. I'm sorry. Are we playing on the grass again today?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. As always, great coaching. Yep. If you need to get into, if you want some coaching from Jeff, you can find him at jeff@jacklich365.com. He's over on Facebook now and then, and he's there too. So that's how, and look, I'm talking about help. If you want to get out in the court with him, you can do that. Northern California. And you and I are cooking up a little deal for possibly this January 2021, putting a coaching session together for those guys and gals who actually are playing tournaments. We're not looking for, and I don't have a problem if you want to go out there and just kind of massage the ball around and feel good, beautiful day, that's cool. But this is not going to be the kind of coaching workshop that you want to sign up for. We haven't put the final touches on it yet, but it's going to be in January, somewhere down here in the desert. We will definitely let you know. All right, man. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Right on.
Guys,
see you guys.
Get out there today. Help someone else. Have a great day, and we'll do this again soon. Thanks.
Can't wait.